Hey everyone, welcome on to Branded. This is the podcast that takes you behind the scenes and beyond the brand. I'm really excited for this episode. First off, if you're catching it live, this is the first episode of 2025, and we're stepping into a new year that I can just feel there's so much good shit that's about to happen. It's so exciting. But one thing I wanted to talk about before we get into all the exciting stuff of the new year is reflecting back on things that happened over maybe the last year, 2 years, 3 years, even, right? And share some moments of my journey where I felt completely overwhelmed and considered quitting, but I didn't. And these moments, they taught me lessons. They helped me understand my journey, right? My entrepreneurial career that I'm creating for myself, that's rolling out right in front of me. There's so many things that happen along the way that honestly can make us stop, can make us quit. But do they? So today I want to give you some information on, stuff I've experienced in my journey, how I overcame it, some simple actionable things that you can do in case you're experiencing some of the same. And hopefully this inspires you to just keep going, right? So let's dive in. First thing, when I'm looking back, and now this is 3 years ago that this particular issue was happening for me, overbooking myself while learning how to time block. It sounds ridiculous that you have to learn how to use a calendar. But if it's not something that you do every single day, if it's not something that you do in your current career, learning how to really time block and create these focused moments of action throughout your day, it's not something that really comes naturally because honestly, so many of us are reactive. And so we just allow things to happen to us. And then we're like, oh, okay, I guess this is the next thing I have to do because now I have to deal with this. Right. So we sort of live our lives in this state of reactive rather than proactive. And that's honestly what time blocking can do for you is creating a really proactive um, schedule for you to work from. Early on, when I was building out my business, I mean, I'm a 9 to 5er, right? Like that's my history of my work career is having a 9 to 5 job. And it's literally what it sounds like, right? You start work around 9 o'clock, you end around 5 o'clock, and that's your day. And the rest of it is not scheduled, not really, unless you have kids or something, like there's not other things that happen around that time of day. And so you're sort of just like letting the day happen to you because you work a 9 to 5. And so you have to do that during those times of the day. Well, I was trying to fit in building a business. I was trying to fit in business coaching and consultation calls and design work and learning how to launch a network marketing business. Like there was so many things I was trying to do about 3-ish years ago that I ended up overbooking myself way more times than I like to admit. And it really stressed me the fuck out. Like, if you've overbooked yourself at any time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't feel good because, for one, it feels like you let yourself down. And then for two, it kind of feels like you let the other person down. Like if it was an overbooking that involved a consultation call or delivering some sort of service or product to somebody, like it can make you feel shitty when you don't honor these promises that you're making to yourself and to other people, right? So, what happened? Right? Did I burn out and quit? No, I figured out how to time block. So here's a suggestion on how you can overcome something like this if you're also feeling this way with your schedule and just feeling like you have no room to breathe. Start with focused blocks. Now, what I mean by this is instead of time blocking your entire schedule, like the whole freaking thing, instead of doing that, create focused blocks within your day. And this is just like, let's say one task. There's something that's just like, you got to get it done. Go ahead and create a 30-minute block on your schedule somewhere in the day where you know that you can sit down and you can honor that time. So this is something that, you have to have a little bit of awareness around your day and when this would be the best for you. Some people are more like higher functioning in the morning and some people are higher functioning at night, right? So determine what time of day really would work best for you, and then put in that 30-minute block of something focused, uninterrupted. If you've got kids and someone can help you, be like, hey, I need 30 minutes to just go do this one task for my business. I promise it's not going to be, 3 hours later. I just need this focused time because I'm trying to create really healthy patterns and habits for my business. If someone's there to support you, they'll say yes to that, right? And if you don't, then maybe that's a conversation you have with your kids or with whoever is around you and say, look, I just need 30 minutes. And you put your phone on do not disturb, right? And you do the thing you need to do. You do the thing you promised yourself to do. And then eventually over time, you'll find that you're blocking all your important stuff into your schedule, right? 30 minutes here, an hour here, 3 hours here, like really giving yourself a good gauge of how quickly you can get through some of the work and what days and times of day you like to do certain tasks, right? So at this moment in time, I still work a 9 to 5, and my business has now scaled to a point where I am busy every single day of the week. I have client work that, I have promised deliverables for them almost every single day of the week. So I do work on the weekends, but I'm okay with that right now. This is the phase of life I'm in, and I'm okay with that. Eventually, if this was to happen for years and years, I would get burnt out. So I know that it's not sustainable, but it's something that I'm working through. It's something I'm still figuring out. So time blocking is not something that you'll just like, ta-da, I'm a genius at it. It's something that happens gradually over time, and it can start today with just a focused 30-minute block for something that you really want to get done. And then you check that off the list and you're like, awesome, I can do another 30-minute block tomorrow. Or maybe you can only do it once a week, right? You have to determine that for yourself and give yourself the permission to, you know, say, I'm going to do what I'm going to do and I'm going to honor it at, no cost, right? Like I'm going to make sure this happens. So build these skills gradually. Another thing that I really struggled with, and this is still something I'm figuring out, and I think this is still something that we'll always be figuring out because of the nature of social media, but I almost burnt myself out trying to learn how to use social media. I didn't know how to use it prior to starting my business 3 years ago. Like, quite literally, the only thing I did on social media was I showed up with like a big old photo album of, a vacation we were on or something. And that was it. That was mostly just so whatever family or people knew me were like, oh, cool, they went on a vacation. Like, whatever. That was the only thing I used for social media. So I had to learn how to use it as a business tool, as a marketing tool, as an advertising tool, as a connection tool. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was burning myself out trying to figure out how to do it. It almost made me quit. Like, quite literally, I remember very vividly that it was January 2023, and I was just like fed up with trying to figure out social media. And I felt like it was constantly requiring my attention and my energy, and that was not sitting well with me. So I had to figure out a better way, right? I had to determine what are the parts of this that I actually like? What are the parts of this I don't like? How many times a week do I really want to show up? Like, how many times a week can my energy actually show up and create content and connect with people? Because I tell you right now, 7 days a week is not the answer for me. Now, for some of you, it might be, right? Maybe you're like the Energizer Bunny and you just love being on social media. Cool, more power to you. That is not me. And so I had to figure out a better way. Otherwise, I was going to quit. And I don't want to quit over something as trivial as social media when, in the grand scheme of things, it is just a tool that helps you be seen and heard by a wider audience. I could be doing exactly what I'm doing for my business here locally in my community if I really wanted to. So I had to understand that social media was not the end all be all to my business. It was simply an addition to my business. And so I am in charge of how much I want to be on it. And I am never going to let something like that be the thing that determines whether I quit or not. Right. So this was like all things I had to experience. These were roadblocks I had to dig myself out of because I was feeling super stressed and didn't know what to do. So, burning out while learning how to use social media, it's a real thing. Like, don't feel badly about yourself if you're trying to post reels, understand all the right hashtags, post stories, do carousels, do static posts on Instagram and Facebook, do lives, do webinars, do classes. Like, oh my gosh, you do not have to do it all. You don't. And if you see people out there doing it all and they have a lot of success, I guarantee they have a team that helps them. If you see me out there a lot, it's because I'm repurposing the same content, but in various ways with different parts of the message along the way. So I know if you have watched any of these episodes, you understand that I'm doing repurposing of my content. So if you think you see me a lot, it's because I'm just using the ideas and the content that I'm creating to their fullest. It's not because I'm showing up every single day. I promise you that. I get on social about usually on Sundays, honestly, and I schedule out my podcast, I schedule out all of my emails, all of my content for the week, and then I just have things set and ready to go throughout the week in case I want to share those and I have the time for it. Otherwise, I'm not on there. And that was not how my journey began. So it is a work in progress and you'll get there. Don't let social media be the thing that makes you quit. Here's a suggestion for you to overcome this like feeling of overwhelm and burnout with social media. Pick one platform and focus on it. I know that sounds crazy because you want to be everywhere and you're like, yeah, but there's like potential customers over here and over here and over here and over here. Yeah, but can you be in all of these places until you really figure out how to repurpose your content, which isn't that hard. It just takes some time and some effort. But until you get to that place, you do not need to be everywhere. Pick one platform, the one that you actually like to be a consumer of, and start there. Start playing around with what your graphics look like, the type of message that you have out there. What's the response you're getting from people? Do you even like to look at your own stuff, right? Like these are all sorts of various ways that you can gauge whether this is working for you. So pick one platform that you like, focus on it, start creating some simple and sort of replicatable content. So if you go and look at my IG grid, you'll see there's like, I'm in the process of sort of rebranding right now. And so there's some chunks of my grid that are like, well, that looks different than that. And that looks different than that. It's because I'm playing with it. And I'm the owner of my business and I have every right to do that. Until it feels right, I'm going to keep playing with it. But if you go look at my grid right now, you'll see that there's a chunk of it where it's like black and white tiles. And I did this on purpose. I wanted it to just be super, super simple while I was still marinating on what's the direction I really want my brand to go in right now as far as the visuals. And something as simple as that, when you're just not sure, do some all white tiles, all black tiles, pick a color that you like and go with it. Make it the cover image of everything you do, right? You can create a carousel of various images or quotes or text, but you can make that cover image something very specific because you know it's going to be on your grid. And that's just a way of thinking about the big picture. And that's not something you have to do. It's just a suggestion, especially if you're going to focus on one platform and really try to like figure it out and see how you like it. That's what I would suggest doing. And then of course, tweak it. If you're like not feeling it, pivot, go somewhere else. Or if you're like really finding your groove, add another one into the mix and repurpose what you're creating. Instagram and Facebook, for the most part, they talk to each other. So what you post in one place, you can, in most cases, auto schedule it to the other place. So figure these things out for yourself. And this is how social media becomes a really useful tool rather than something that's going to burn you out. Another thing, as I was thinking about this topic of like, man, there's some things that almost made me quit. The other thing I was thinking about was like, I really struggled to decide what kind of services my business would offer. honestly, this has been like for over a year. It's been probably 3 years in the making at this point because it's been a conversation that I have internally with myself all the time. And I just realized that it was probably about 6 months ago or so where I felt really confident when I was on a consultation call with somebody and it was a referral and she was like, "Okay, well, how do we do this? Do you have like packages or, bundles or what's the deal?" And I was like, "You know what has been working really well for me and I am just going to decide to run with it because all of the clients that I currently have love operating in this way. I'm enjoying it. Let's keep it going." I do time blocks because everything I do is highly customized work. So for over a year, I tried to build these sort of like pre built branding and marketing bundles, right? Oh, you need a Facebook cover and you need a lead magnet and you need a landing page and you need all these things, which in the grand scheme of things, most people do need those things. But sometimes at that first conversation you have with somebody, they don't think they need all those things. So they end up just not buying your package because they're like, if I don't need all of it, then I guess I don't need any of it. And I was finding that that was happening a lot. So instead, I switched gears and instead of having these pre built packages of things that people could literally say yes or no to, it was, hey, go ahead and just pay for my time because you're going to get 100% of my energy, my effort, and customized work to your business. Let me know how much time you want. That was like gangbusters. I mean, people are like, yes, this is exactly what I needed. It's because it gave them the power to choose what work got done, right? What work is getting done within the time that I'm paying for. And that shift in my services and what I was offering, it did not happen overnight. I had to go through the consultation calls where people said no. I had to go through those follow ups where people were like, I'm just not sure yet before I landed on that magical recipe of, hey, it's as simple as just paying for my time and it's customized. So, what do you want to get done? Now, this is not a business model that is going to work for everyone. I know that, but I'm giving you this as an example because when you're overthinking what services you should be offering to people, overthinking it's just going to stall you. It's just going to stall you. So instead of overthinking it, go ahead and try some of them out, right? Give it a go. If someone says no to something, really ask yourself, is it because the offer isn't really offering them what they actually need? Or maybe is it not the right person, right? You have to determine why the no was a no. And also, speaking of no's, when you're going through this process of figuring out what services or even products you want to really run with and make your core offer, it's okay to say no when something comes across you that it just doesn't feel aligned. Like if you have a customer that suggests something to you, oh, I wish you would do this, this, and this. It's okay to say, yeah, that's great, but that's just not what we do here, right? That's just not my business. That's not, it's okay to say no if it doesn't feel aligned to you. And sometimes you have to go through the thick of it once or twice before you realize, okay, this really isn't a thing for me. So understanding what offers you should or shouldn't be providing in your business, it's trial and error, so much of it. So see what, of course, use inspiration that's out there. You see coaches that have packages, I see a coach out there that does like, she calls it a taster menu. And so it's like a low ticket, low entry, pre-recorded, kind of coaching sessions that she already has done. So it's something that's very evergreen for her. It's super smart. She sells the shit out of it because she's created this audience of consumers that want her information, right? So it's working really well for her. But that business model won't always work for everybody. So you just have to try these things out. If something looks really enticing to you, the way someone is running their offers, give it a shot, but like definitely give yourself permission to say, okay, it's time to pivot or let me take some bits and pieces of what I've experienced and let me create my own thing. And you'll see that there's a lot of power in really determining for yourself, what are the things I'm actually good at? And more than that, what are the things I actually enjoy doing, right? Because here's an example of something that I say no to: managing other people's social media. I have clients ask me all the time, oh my gosh, I would love it if you could manage my social media. You could do all my posts for me, blah, blah, blah. Like, I love seeing your stuff. I love how it comes out. It all looks really cohesive and it's all just consistent, right? Like, I almost never ever miss my schedule of how I post because it's just become like muscle memory at this point. But that is a service that I say no to right now, at least, because I just don't have the time for it. And also, on the flip side of that, I don't love being on social media, right? As I mentioned before, it almost burnt me out. So I have not developed a relationship with social media in a way that is going to have me saying yes to having that kind of service in my business. So decide for yourself what's things that you're really good at, but also things that you really enjoy doing. And then focus on those, offer those to people as your offers, right? These are your primary core offers that you're giving to people. And you can have it like it can be one thing. It doesn't have to be a million things. I would actually suggest that you pick no more than 3 things and start there. Because if you have an offer suite that's like 20 different items, unless you are a retail space that is, and I say space as in like you could be online or in person, but unless you're a retail business selling products, you do not need 20 plus offers if you're a service provider, because your service is like unique to your genius. And I'm not saying you're not good at 20 different things, but people will get confused as to, well, if I buy this thing, it kind of sounds like this thing. So get really, really like focused on what are the primary services, pick top 3 things that you're good at that you also like to do and make those your offers. So when I first started my business, I'll give you an example. I was offering like design work for, lead magnets and Facebook covers and all the things. It was mostly design stuff, right? And then it gradually morphed into the all-in-one business migration, like moving people's businesses into all-in-one platforms and then building out their businesses inside of that platform. So that way they only have one subscription to pay for and their business is all in one place and they have absolutely everything they need. That takes time, but that's what my business has sort of morphed into. And I love it because now it's really trimmed down how I see my offers, but also how people see my offers too, right? Because now it's pretty simple. Like, I help you access systems that work for you and your business. I help you build a website that reflects your vision. And I help you with email marketing that authentically connects with your audience. Like, those are the top 3 things that I've really been doing for the last year or so. And I'm good at it and I like doing it. And I'm getting really positive feedback from my clients. So I'm going to keep doing it. But my services, they might morph into something else over time, but you just become aware of really keeping those aligned choices to where you're headed, right? What's the vision for your business? If you say yes to this thing today, is it going to lock you into something for 6 months to a year that you don't really want? If you have like a coaching business and you're just getting started with your coaching business and your very first offer is a 12-month coaching service, that's a lot, honestly. Like, I would suggest going 6 months or lower because you don't even know if you're going to enjoy it. You could be locked into something for 12 months and not like it because you haven't even tried it yet. I did that with the 6-month coaching program. Absolutely loved the people in the program, but I didn't love the way I had structured it. And so I was so glad that I only did 6 months because to have to commit to it for a year, my energy wasn't in it anymore. And so these are things to think about when you're like, yeah, but a 12-month coaching program, I could charge double the price. And it's like, yeah, but then you're in it for 12 months and you have to be certain that this is something you want for yourself. Um, and life moves fast. So, asking these kinds of questions is really important when you're trying to figure out what kind of offers you want to roll out for your business. And don't let it make you feel like you need to quit. Just keep going. Just keep pushing through and saying yes to the things that feel really good to you. And eventually you'll find yourself just face to face with something you've been asking for the whole time. And you're like, holy shit, it's right here. It's right here in front of me. Okay, I made my way to it. Cool. Let's keep going. So, as we wrap up this episode, I have a couple more things that I want to share about, almost quitting. This is something I come across a lot, is learning how to use technology that you don't know. Now, this kind of feeds into social media because, yes, it's technology. But what I really mean is understanding the software and the technology that your business uses outside of social media, right? So many of us, we have calendars, we have streaming software like this, we maybe have podcasting software, we've got emailing software, websites or landing pages and funnels. We have maybe a course portal, right? I'm up to like 6 or 7 things right now, which, by the way, most people have on all different softwares and are paying for different services. You can get all of that in one place, by the way. If you want any info on that, just drop, I don't know, comment all in one or DM me on Instagram at Social J Media and we can talk about it. But having all your business in all these different places and doing all of these different things, that means learning how to use all of that different technology that you probably weren't using before. Unless you worked for a marketing agency or some sort of tech company prior to doing your business you're doing right now, you probably were not using any of this technology. And so you have to learn how to start using it. Now, it could mean that you simply pay somebody else to implement all the things that you want in your business. Tons of business owners do that, right? Like that's part of what I'm doing with the all-in-one platform and moving businesses in there, building out websites, email marketing, calendars, courses, all the things, all the things. But I had to learn how to use that. And let me tell you, my self-confidence took a major hit when I was going through this learning phase. I mean, I felt so dumb. And this is coming from like my experience with education, learning, schooling. I was always at the top of my class. I was always a really great student. Like I can consume and analyze information really pretty quickly. But when it came to some of this technology, I was like, whoa, roadblock. This is hard. And my self confidence was really taking a hit because when you're not used to doing hard things and then you start doing hard things, you just want to throw your hands up and be like, fuck it. I quit. I don't want to do it anymore. It's too hard. I'm so glad I stuck it out though, because quickly I became someone who knew the software. And quickly I became someone who was being paid to help other people understand the software because I stuck it out. And yes, I'm a fast learner, but that doesn't mean it was any less hard for me to learn it. It just maybe didn't take me as long as somebody else. But because I stuck it out, I could have said, fuck it, I quit, but I didn't. I almost immediately started getting paid to help other people understand it and implement their businesses in the way I had already done mine. So that's the power of just keeping going. What you're struggling with right now can become somebody else's light bulb moment. Oh my God, I need to hire her because she knows what she's doing. She just learned how to do it. She's gone through everything I'm going through right now and she gets it. There's power in that. So learning how to use tech that you've never heard of, it's okay. There's a learning phase and you're going to take a hit to your self-confidence and your self-esteem while you're learning it because hard things are hard to do. And that's just the fact of life, right? But a way that you can kind of push through this and overcome, start blocking out 20 to 30 minutes of like learning time. Get yourself onto Google, YouTube, whatever kind of platforms are out there, and search it. Watch videos, watch tutorials. There are other people that are experts out there doing the same thing you're trying to do. I guarantee with this internet that we have, if you YouTube search or Google search almost any question you have about any software that's out there, I bet you're going to get an answer. You may not get the full answer, but you might at least start to get some insight. Oh, I didn't know I needed to click here. Let me click here. And now I see the menu of items that I need in order to then make the thing. Sometimes it's like the smallest thing that you just don't know where to look. You don't know where to click before it opens up a whole nother avenue of like, okay, this was the direction I was looking to go. Be a problem solver. I mean, honestly, that's how I got through learning how to use tech I'd never heard of. I was a problem solver. I either DM'd people that I knew already knew how to use some of the software and said, hey, I'm running into this issue. How did you solve it? Or I just Googled it or I YouTubed it and I found it out. Or some of these softwares have 24/7 chat support, right? Open that shit up and ask your question. They'll get back to you and hopefully with the right answer, the answer that you need. But there's always a way to solve anything that's making us feel overwhelmed and stressed. You just have to really kind of stop and think about it, see the bigger picture, and make your decisions from the vision that you have for your business, right? If you were going to let some sort of technology that you just couldn't figure out how to use and it was stressing you out, if you were going to let that be the thing that made you quit, come on. You can try a different technology, right? You can try a different software platform. It's okay if you don't like something. You can pivot. There are so many options out there, right? This e-commerce, it's everywhere. There are so many different places that your business can thrive. And if you're not loving the one that you're in right now, then move it, right? If you don't know it, get to know it or hire someone who does, right? And never will I let that be a thing that makes me quit, right? And then lastly, oh, this is a big one. This is one I deal with all the time. And I think a lot of us do, especially creative people, pushing through a creative block. Oh man, if that is not something that makes you want to quit, every time you have a creative block and you're just like, well, what am I going to do? I have no thoughts up here. There are no thoughts happening. So I guess my business is just done. And I'll be really honest with you. I have had a creative block for probably the last 30 days or so. And it might be because the year was winding down. I had taken a vacation. Then it was the holidays. Then there was lots of eating, like there was all sorts of things that sort of got me off of my regular routine. And honestly, it created this like block that I was having. I couldn't think of ideas that really resonated with me. I struggled with like, well, what am I going to do for my podcast at the beginning of the year? Like, I don't even know. But guess what happened? I didn't quit. I allowed myself, not every single day of the week, because that was going to stress me out, but a couple days out of the week, I basically said to myself, I gave myself moments of quiet, whether it was sitting outside in the sun or maybe I was in the shower, and I would ask myself, what kind of things do I want to talk about? What are some things that I care about right now? What's something that's resonating with me that I just can't get out of my mind, but for some reason, this creative block is just not allowing it to come through? And honestly, that's usually what has to happen. You just have to ask yourself the question and then give yourself permission to receive the answer because it's already happening, right? It's already up inside of your brain, ready to be released. But more times than not, just the things that are happening in our life are kind of just weighing it down, right? Just sort of stacking like and squishing it and making it just, you just can't hear it anymore, right? Because there's all sorts of other things happening in your life. And you have to give yourself those moments of quiet and recognize, all right, I feel like I've got a creative block right now. I know it's not permanent. The answer will always show up, always, eventually, right? May not be tomorrow though. So instead of stressing out about the fact that I didn't have the answer 2 days after I started feeling a creative block, guess what? It took almost 30 days before I found the answer. But I had things in the works already in my business that gave me a little breathing room to where I wasn't feeling super stressed. And, I already had episodes pre recorded and things like that because I was going on vacation. But I think also I took a step away from my business and really decided to set my phone down and unplug for a while. And it took me a minute to get back into the groove. And so that's why it took me almost 30 days to get over this creative slump. And just the other day, I was in the shower and the idea came to me of this episode. I'm glad I didn't quit. Literally, the idea just came to me and I was like, whoa, I'm so glad I didn't quit. And when I really thought about it, this topic as a whole is huge. It is never ending. How many stories of I'm glad I didn't quit do you have? A ton, I bet. Right? In the 30-ish minutes of this episode, I've only shared 5 with you. I have a ton as well. So, let's keep the conversation flowing because the things that you struggle with, I guarantee other people are too. And putting them out there and vulnerably sharing, like, I almost quit when fill in the blank, but I didn't. Do you know how fucking empowering that is and how inspirational that is? Like, these are conversations people need to hear. And so when I had that light bulb moment after having this creative block for what felt like an eternity, I had this big deep breath and was like, yes, the answer always shows up. Always. Give it space and give it like an actual opportunity to be heard. Because if you're just always busy, 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 those quiet moments in your head, they're never going to come through. So you need that wide open, expansive space for these ideas to come flowing in. And, life gets in the way sometimes, and that's hard. But pushing through a creative block, one of my suggestions for overcoming it, first off, quiet time. Quiet time and asking yourself the question, right? What is the next thing I want to talk about? What is the next thing I want to share? What is the next, give yourself that prompt because automatically your brain will start thinking of solutions like right away without you even realizing it. But another fantastic way to overcome a creative block is to just brain dump. Put things on paper, even if they sound silly or stupid or ridiculous, put it down on paper because whatever is in your head that is cluttering the space of, where all of your ideas just feel like they don't have enough space to be heard, it's because you got all sorts of shit just up there, like that you don't need anymore. Brain dump. Get it out on paper. Everything you write down might be total garbage. Everything you write down might be total garbage with the exception of one great idea, right? The brain dump is not an actual something that will produce a result. It's more of an action that frees up space in order for the answer to arrive. So sometimes that answer arrives during the brain dump. More times than not, it's going to arrive afterwards because you've decluttered, you've organized your thoughts. Brain dumping, cleaning out your physical space. If your work desk is a fucking mess, your brain is cluttered too. Guarantee. So cleaning your physical space, brain dumping all of these ideas that you have, even if they're total garbage, just get them out on paper. And don't do this for like ever, right? Set a timer for like 10 minutes and do the task. Because any longer than that, you're just going to feel like, well, now I'm just working to try to like find things to put down on paper. Now I'm like actually physically trying to think up new things to brain dump. You don't want that. You just set a timer for 10 minutes. If it goes off and you're still writing, right, finish your thought, but just let it go. Put it down. You don't need it anymore. This is one of the best ways to help get over a creative block. And you just get fresh inspiration whenever you clear your mind. Like it's fact. So all of these moments that I've shared with you, learning how to time block, learning how to use social media, learning how to um, use technology I'd never heard of, getting over a creative block. And what was the other one? Oh, struggling to determine what offers to have for your business. These are big ones. These are ones I really wanted to share with you guys. But like I said, I have got a million and one reasons of, I'm glad I didn't quit when I was doing XYZ. And I would love to hear, what are your I didn't quit stories? Because I know there are some really good ones out there. Just keep remembering growth happens when you push through those really hard, sticky, tough times. Resilience is an entrepreneur's secret weapon. And I'm not saying you have to be resilient through absolutely everything. There are things that you can 100% say no to if they don't feel aligned to you. But if it's something that you really, really want for yourself and it matches that vision you have for your business, keep going. Because yes, it feels hard right now, but that's just because you're learning something new. You're pushing through an up level and you're literally creating new neural pathways in your brain to experience something new, to learn something new, to become aware of something new. All of these things, it's the human condition. You will forever be learning and growing for the rest of your life. And why not embrace it? Why not love the process? And the only way to really do that is to start understanding it and to remove all the judgment around it when you're not perfect, right? It's always progress over perfection. Keep moving, keep going. You'll overcome. You always will. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I would love to hear your I didn't quit stories. Drop them in the comments. Let's talk about it. I even have this fun vision for interviewing some people with their I didn't quit stories because I think there are some really good ones out there. So a couple new things that I'll leave you with. I've got my new website launching soon. Again, progress over perfection, but I would love it if you guys clicked around and checked it out. I'm trying a new sort of model layout with my website where it's really more of having a conversation with you more than selling. And this is something that feels really organic to me. It's something that feels very aligned. So I'm going to run with it. But I'll put that in the comments here so you can just go poke around and check it out. I just made it. So there might still be some tweaks that need to be made. If you run into anything, let me know, right? I have no judgment or expectation for anything that I produce to be 100% perfect because there is always room for improvement. But I will see you guys on the next episode, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review, and for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.